day 86 of this life-transforming adventure of allowing your spirit to be fed every single day, of cultivating the most important of every habit in our life, this habit of coming to God every day, of reading His Word, reading it repeatedly, reading it slowly, and praying as we do so. John chapter 18, it's the end of the evening of the Last Supper, and Jesus and His disciples, they go for a short walk. They go to a garden filled with olive trees, and in this garden, a detachment or cohort, depending on your translation, of soldiers arrive. That is 600 soldiers. Some commentators say that the word was also used for 200. Even if it was 200 soldiers, that is a big army that has arrived to arrest Jesus. That was just the Romans together with priests or officers and soldiers sent by the priests as well. So this was a huge group of people that had come to arrest Jesus. And then the most crazy of crazy things happen. They say they're looking for Jesus of Nazareth, and Jesus responds, I am He. I am. We've heard that word a couple of times, and as He says, I am He, that a whole group, those hundreds of men, all fall to the ground. This should be a Hollywood movie. Then they get up and they still continue to arrest Him. Jesus hands Himself over. Simon Peter, he's not kind of on the same page as Jesus. He swings a sword, cuts off Malchus, one of the high priest's servants' ears. Jesus puts it back. Luke tells us that He has put it back. And from there, Jesus is taken to trial. Peter is following Jesus along with an unnamed disciple. He's just called the other disciple. Most scholars agree that is the author of the book, John himself. So John and Peter, they're following Jesus into the court, standing around the soldiers who are around a fire because it's a cold night, and witnessing everything that has happened. Jesus is first at Annas' house. He was the previous high priest who was still a man who had significant authority. Then it's taken to Caiaphas' house, who was the current high priest, also the son-in-law of Annas, and eventually to Pilate, the Roman governor. At Pilate, the Jews can't go into Pilate's residence. They would be defiled if there was leaven in Pilate's house, yeast of sorts in Pilate's house. And so there's this interaction where Pilate is walking between Jesus inside the house and the rest of the Jews outside the house. So most of what Jesus says to Pilate, He is saying in private audience. He is not saying that in public before the whole Jews. Pilate finds Him not guilty. He doesn't want to upset the religious rulers. He thinks there's an easy out. He says to the crowd, the same crowd who just a week ago was singing Hosanna in the highest. He says, do you guys want me to release this king to you? And they say, no, Barabbas, one who was guilty of insurrection, murder, and robbery. They select him, and the crowd says, rather give us Barabbas than Jesus. Rather give us the counterfeit than the real. And this is the cliffhanger that John chapter 18 ends on.